Let's take a look at how to present your work. Here we are right here, 1.2.1, step 3, where you will present your work. And the format is sort of important. It needs to be visually pleasing, clear, and understandable to the reader. Now, I've made the background of this little box blue so that you can't just take a snip of it and copy and paste it into your own. And I've also put a little bit of a blue line. Yours should remain the same color as the background original, and you shouldn't put little lines through yours. But the first part, if you recall, is to make an explanation, and you should use 2 or 3 lines at the most and be very clear and concise. You can say are used to, examples are, typical this, be very clear and concise and make a nice description. Then you want to add the images of your work that show that you have revised existing drawings and that you've worked with typical site work drawings. So I chose, and this is based on good graphic layout principle, one good graphic layout principle. I chose to make one of my drawings stand out above the others. So I just picked one. I picked my property line drawing and I made it so that it's really obvious which this one is. Okay, so the reader doesn't have to squint and look and try to read these little things. I gave it a name. And in addition, I tell the reader what I did. These are drawings that I revised per a markup to make them complete. If you give the reader the idea that you did all these drawings in the first week of maybe one of your first classes in design technology, you would be giving them the wrong impression, and we want to give them the right impression. But you're doing a cool thing already. You're learning about it, and you're making revisions. So you want to let them know. Okay, and I made that text box stand out by giving it a little bit of color. You can play with that color. Here's the little paint bucket, and you can choose an existing color, or you can click custom and you can play around with it a little bit too. See how that changed it so it doesn't stand out quite as much. You can make those bigger or smaller, and you can make it bold and italic if you want. I suggest making it as easy on the eyes as possible. Now, I did put a line around it, very light one. You can change the color of those lines also if you'd like to. Um, Try to be a little bit um, understated about these. A little bit too much going on, and people won't really look and see what's going on in your presentation. Your eyes will be drawn to other things. So here I've made it so that it doesn't stand out quite as much. So that's something you might want to do also. Make it so that these lines don't pop quite so hard. Okay, that'll be up to you. You can use your graphic sense at that. Also, when you click on one of these, there's the opportunity to show the format options. Size, drop shadow. Drop shadows are nice because they help you identify quickly and easily the borders of something so our eyes see it well. Another thing you do, and notice when I click on it, I can adjust the size of this. Now, there's something called the golden ratio. If you take the width divided by the height, if it's very near 1.6, then that's something our eyes like. It's called the golden ratio. Let me look at this. I'm going to do 5.4 wide divided by 3.38, and I get 1.597. That's pretty close to 1.6. Now I can change these numbers, 5.5, and it will change. I don't know that again. There we go. Let's get this right. 5.75. See how that makes it bigger? Okay, so I can change those sizes to match the golden ratio. And then the other thing that I note is that my border all the way around is pretty close to the same all the way around. I want to have fairly even borders. And over here where I've added my other three, just to show that I've done more than one and to take up some of the space left that's left over after I make this one the golden ratio. Got a little bit of space, so I cut that into three. That's another thing that you'll find is that when things are cut into threes, our eyes see them as a unit better than other numbers. So there you go. There's a few things that you can do. Be clear and concise. Highlight one of your drawings to be the primary one. Annotate it so readers know what you're trying to show. Let people see what you did and that it matches the requirements. And then do a little bit of visual pleasantry, putting drop shadows or some lines around the objects so that they're easily seen. Okay, so those are all part of your visually pleasing graphics content.